Yay, I've just hit record. That's better. So we're all live and recording. So, why did I actually pick this topic for today? I kept getting a lot of horror stories, would be a good way to put it, about bad press about business specialists and business gurus and all of that type of stuff. So, I thought I'd actually just create a really good webinar to help you guys pick the right business specialist, guru, mentor, whatever you want to call them for your business, and and the pitfalls and what you need to actually have a look at. So before we actually start, I always like to give my warning, very similar to warnings you have at movies, to say, warning, this material has graphic content. No graphic content in here, but we have some great content about what you need to do to choose a great business specialist. We take full responsibility for the changes to your business after implementation of these ideas. So, guys, just turn off your emails and phones and all of that for literally, I'd say this would go for about half an hour this morning, maybe a tiny bit longer. And, let's get stuck into it. So, guys, I want a whole heap of questions and all of that. So, if you need to raise your hands, it's over in this area. If you want to minimize the bar so you can go back to your emails and Facebook, you use that orange button there. And to type any questions to me, please just whack them into that section now. Guys, quite simply, this is me. I've had no hair since I was born. I run now 4 businesses, and they keep me off the streets and occupied. I also, one of my businesses is in martial arts, and I love my martial arts training. And effectively, I just call myself a business instructor, and I'll quickly outline the difference on a business instructor versus a business mentor versus a business coach versus something like that later on in the piece. So, what do I need from you guys? And this is extremely important. I need this. Ask heaps of questions. If you're not too sure, or if there's something brought up that you disagree with, please let me know. I'm happy to discuss it. I am recording it, so if you do want to go back on anything, you can get back to it. We'll have the webinar out in the next, say, by Monday or Tuesday. I want this to be a bit thought-provoking today, and what I mean by that is I want you to actually start considering what's actually happening out there in your business, and I want you to actually ask yourselves the questions: do I actually need a business specialist in or not? And you know what, guys, if you are on the call, and I haven't looked on who's on the call recently, who's got in recently, I might irritate some people in my industry. Whether it's a whistleblower or whether they agree or disagree with what I'm saying, it might be frustrating for some of them because, again, the reason I'm doing this is, for the last couple of years, business specialists have been getting a bum rap because of people in the industry giving it that bum rap at the end of the day. So I do not apologize in advance if I do irritate you. Hopefully some of this will actually give you the insight to, hopefully do what you're supposed to be doing and helping clients get and grow where they need to. So, guys, let's have a look at what we talk about when we say specialist. And I really want you to actually understand specialist. And we can look at a general doctor who's a generalist, a GP, general practitioner, versus a specialist, whether it's an ankle specialist, a foot specialist, a lung specialist. They specialize in exactly the area, and you've got general. When I talk about business specialists, I'm talking about all of them. I'm talking about everyone in general, and I'm talking about everyone in a specialty field. And this is important to actually understand because they all come in shapes and sizes. There's everything from business coaches, business consultants, marketing experts, accountants, lawyers, HR experts, business instructors, you name it. There is so many. There's productivity specialists. There is, social media specialists. There is a whole range of specialists out there. And reality is, what is right for your business? And you need to understand, what type of specialist do I need for my business? And the first section of this is actually, how do you know if you need a business specialist or not? And I want you to start thinking about your business, about what type of specialist you want or you'll need in your business. Do you need a generalist? I know some people have a whole heap of generalists out there, and I know a whole heap of people have um, need an actual specialist, only one particular field to help them out. So I've got a hand raised there. If you've got any questions, just write them into the questions box, guys. I'm happy to actually answer any questions as we go along. So I guess when you're looking at what we're talking about here, I always use the word business specialist because why specialist is a fun word, but reality is it could be a generalist who specializes in a whole heap of areas, or it could be an actual specialist who go down into unique one. So, guys, it gets a bit of overwhelming. Which one should you exactly have in your business? What type of specialist do you actually need? I've created a few questions for you now, whether you want to answer them yourself now or whether you want to, have a look at the webinar later, or I can even write the questions out for you and put them in the email. But these are the questions I believe you should be asking yourself right at this moment. And let's face reality. What do you really need? What is it that you need help with in your business? For some people, it may be only just purely marketing. For some people, it might be team. For some people, it might be a legal dispute that's actually going on. For some people, it might be a finance issue. What is it that you really, 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 really need? Do you need motivation? Are you not implementing the stuff that you're supposed to be implementing? Do you just need a whole heap of ideas? Do you just not like your business at all and you just need someone to give you some motivation to get out there and get your business cranking? You know, what is it that you really, really, really need? And the way I actually always look at this, and when you're answering this, is I look at the 8 key areas of business. Marketing. Do you need help with your marketing? Do you need help with your sales? Do you need help with your customer service or operations? Do you need help with your finance and admin? Do you need help with your team? Do you need help with your systems? But last of all, and definitely not last, it should be first, but do you need help yourself? And if you looked at those 8 key areas, what is it that you need help with? If you find that you have the best team ever and there's no problems with your team, you're making heaps of money and your finances are all sorted, you got some great systems in place, but reality is you just need more marketing done, then purely you just need a marketing person. But if you've got challenges across the board and you have problems with your team, you have problems with your finances, problems with your marketing, problems with that, yes, you're not employing, yes, you can go and employ a whole heap of those experts in those individual fields, but that's going to cost an absolutely mutzer at the end of the day. So you've got to have a look that maybe a generalist that can help in all of those areas, but maybe not as in depth as what an actual specialist or a expert in that particular field is, but at least you cover all bases. And then when you look at something like you need in yourself, i.e., you need time management, or you need to, you just lost that motivation to do what you need to, you might just need, again, someone to actually pump you up and hold you accountable at the end of the day. You know what you've got to do in business. And this is a funny thing, guys. I look at all business owners there. Most people know what they need to do in business, but reality is sometimes they just lack the motivation to do it. They lack the discipline to actually tell people to bugger off, stop the interruptions, and go do what they have to really do. So sometimes it might be just as simple as actually finding someone to keep you on track. So what do you really need? And that's a very interesting question, and that's something I really want you to ponder on this. If you purely just need something like marketing or sales, my recommendation is just go and get a sales guru, go and get a marketing guru. I recently met someone who was actually paying for a HR expert, that was paying for a finance expert, they were paying for a marketing expert, and all up in all, it was costing them 15 grand a month to actually get all of these things in place. And I'm just shaking my head going, wow. And you're probably shaking your head as well. But, people just don't know what they don't know. So reality is there is people out there that can actually do all of that. Again, maybe not as in depth as what each individual person does. But you know what? They will still get a good result by looking at one person that does everything. So that gets back to, do I need ongoing support? Think about this. Once you set up a full marketing plan and it's implemented for you, do you need someone to keep coming back all the time? Do you need someone there to keep pushing you? Do you need someone there every single month to hold your hand? What is it that you need? Do you need that ongoing support? I know businesses that literally, and this is for me, get me in to spend a day with the team, give them a whole heap of team stuff, and sit down with them, talk to them, set out their goals, and I don't see them again for 6 months. They don't need that ongoing support, but do you? And if you say yes, then maybe an individual specialist is not for you. Maybe you need someone who has those ongoing support programs to actually help you get where you need to get to. So definitely have a look at that. Do you need that ongoing support? And if you don't, just go and get a specialist marketing guru, finance guru, team guru, system setup guru. Just pay once off, get them in, get them out, and you have what you actually need. So the next point is how much time do you have for implementation? There's a lot of specialists out there that will actually come in and go, right, here's what you need to do. You go off and go and do it. So you've got to have a look at, do you need someone to do the stuff? Or you don't have time for implementation, or you don't know how to do it. So consultants and those individual specialists are really, really good for getting it done. As you know, business coaches probably won't actually spend the time to get it done. They'll say, you're right, you need to go and pick out free things to go and work on, or go and find free quotes to get something done and let them go and do it. Again, everyone horses for courses here, guys. Coaches are great at mentoring. They're great at, making you accountable. So you've got to have a look at, do I have time for implementation? So be careful of which person you're looking at in terms of what you actually have to get done. Now, do not, and I'm going to stress this, do not think everyone's going to do everything for you. At the end of the day, you can employ someone to do the push-ups for you, but you're not going to get the benefit for it. So those people who have a personal trainer who want to hire someone just to come and do the push-ups for them, guys, you ain't going to get the benefit of this. So you have to do some work irrelevant of the specialist you put in place. Even if you get a marketing specialist to do a full marketing process for you, you still need to do some of the implementation of that. No matter what, you have to do that. So you've got to have a look at how much time you have for the implementation. And of course, here's the biggest question as well. What is my budget? What is the return on investment from whatever you're going to implement? If you've only got $5 a month to invest in a specialist, then you're more than likely probably going to go overseas to get that person. If you've got a budget of $10,000 to get someone, then reality is you've got the flexibility to get a few people in. But the question that you've really got to ask is, what's your return on investment of that budget? I think this is really important. What are you expecting at the end? And I'm going to tell you a couple of horror stories for me personally when I've put on my own specialist. And I've had some great stories as well. So, but I'll tell you a couple of stories about return on investment and what you've actually got to get into it and your budget. So be upfront about what you expect versus how much you're actually going to pay. And then the last one is and this is easy, where do you find this type of specialist? Guys, I always think, honestly, the easiest way is always referrals. There's always someone in the industry or someone that you've known that's used a particular specialist, and whether they were good or bad or not. You can always search on Google. You can have industry insiders that can come and help you out. These are all great. But the thing that we need to actually do is, before you actually put a specialist on, my recommendation is actually give them some probing questions on the phone. Get a feel of who that person is before doing anything with them. Don't go and spend the time for 2 hours sitting down with them. And reality is all they're going to do is sell to you, and that might not be the right fit. Probe them first. Really understand what they're going to do for you before you even spend the time to sit down and actually talk to them. And I think that's very, very important. Whether that is a sales guru or whether that is that. Find out a bit more about them over the phone, ask them some questions, have some email correspondence, and really, really, really see, who they are before you actually spend the time to meeting them. And always, I recommend this to all clients. My recommendation is make sure you speak to 2 or 3 different people. Don't just speak to the one person. This specialist may have had amazing results in one particular business, but that doesn't mean they're going to have a great result in yours. I work with clients of the same industry occasionally. And reality is, the strategies I put in one business will not work for that other business owner. They just won't, because everyone's different. So make sure you actually go and check out the person, go and get 2 or 3 quotes. I think that's extremely important. So, guys, let me tell you, there's been some, amazing horror stories out there. And the reason that I personally got away from, how do we put this, the business coaching field, was mainly because I kept turning up to networking events and people go, oh no, I've had a business coach before. I'll never touch them again. All they did was charge me a lot of money and, ask me how I felt for the day and made me feel good for an hour. And then reality is didn't get the work done. Now, guys, again, I want to be careful that that's not everyone out there, but that's what I was actually getting. So, right to the point that I actually couldn't have my brand name out at networking events. I actually had to create a new company name so people knew that I wasn't there. What you've got to remember, and I want you to really understand this point, is it's really the person that makes the coach or that makes the expert or the specialist. It's not the brand that they're actually doing. So reality is, for me, I did get out of that brand that I was actually in, and what I actually did with that is created Black Belt Business, which, as you can appreciate, with the martial arts, is my branding, and I'm in control of what the industry actually says out there about me and not, or what businesses say out there. But the problem is you've got the rife in you've out there is the, I guess the biggest challenge with looking at some of these horror stories that we actually hear is there's no regulations to a lot of experts out there. There's no regulations. If you want to become a lawyer, you got to go 6 years through uni, and then you got to go past the lawyers exams, and then you've got a whole certification and all of that type of stuff. If you're going to a lawyer, whether they're good or not, that's indifferent. But at least they've done the hard yards to get where they need to. They're regulated. They just can't go and do stuff outside the blue. Some might, but reality is you guys would pick it up pretty quickly. So have a look at, there is no regulation for that. Anyone can go and stamp on their business card business specialist, and reality is put their name on it and start saying they're a business specialist out there. So when we actually go through the questions you need to ask your business specialist, I want you to actually have a look at those questions and really understand where they've come from, and what ultimately they're going to do. And I'm going to tell you the pros and cons of that. But I find one of the challenges are with any business specialist is, they don't have regulation at the end of the day. There's no one there telling them they must do this, this, and this, like the accounting field, like the legal field, and all of that type of stuff. Anyone can go get a Bachelor of Business or a Bachelor of Marketing or something like that, and then call themselves a expert at the end of the day. So there isn't really any regulated bodies around having a business specialist, which is why one of the reasons I think we go back is why is why they have these horror stories. So due diligence from your point of view, guys, whenever you're looking at getting a specialist on, I think due diligence is the biggest key that you can actually do here. Here's the thing, and I'm going to go the other side of things, guys. I'm going to look at it from the other angle, from your point of view. You know, what you've got to realize when putting a business specialist on is it going to be too late? One thing I find, especially with the Aussie attitude, so any of my US friends over here, this is the Aussie attitude, is we've got that attitude of it's all right, mate. I'm tough. I'm good. I don't need support from anyone. I don't need to talk to anyone. I don't need some bloody person to come in to help me out. I don't need to go to the doctor. Screw that. I don't need any medicine. That's the Aussie attitude. And here's the thing. With that attitude, guys, what you've actually got to realize with that particular attitude, especially in business, is sometimes it's actually too late when you finally get up and ask for help. And this is the key that you've got to actually have a look at. It was really funny. I still remember this. I went and did an evening sales appointment. And I sat down with the business owner, and we sat down, we had a good discussion, and the son comes in, and the son, he works in the business as well. He sat down at the table. He's gone, right, I've got a question for you, and I've only got one question. Now, I don't know if you remember when CleanMade went bust, everyone. For those people who don't know CleanMade, they did range hoods, ovens, and all of that type of stuff. Just raise your hands if you remember CleanMade. And I'm going to use the word remember. Yeah, cool. There's quite a few of guys remembering them. That's you know, guys. They were one. I'm just seeing you, making sure you're still awake, so get you to do something. You know, those Clean Made. He sat down, and that was the day Clean Made went out of business. And he sat down. He says, "Right, I've only got one question for you. If you're so good, do you reckon you could have saved Clean Made?" And I looked at him. I went, "Absolutely not." He said, "Well, you're not a very good business guru, are you?" And I turned around and I said, "No, that's not what I said. I didn't say I'm not a good business guru. I said I just couldn't fix what CleanMade did." He said, the question was more like, if you walked into CleanMade today before they went in receivership, do you think you could have actually saved them?" And I said, "No, I can't do that." Why? Because the challenges that happened in CleanMade happened 18 months prior. You know, they made some really bad decisions, i.e., employing someone to take 20 million bucks out of the account, but we won't go there. So, you know, but reality is the challenges happened 18 months ago, not right then when they went in receivership. So the question you've got to have a look at, guys, is, you know, do you want to take the normal Aussie attitude as, "Oh, I'm okay," or reality is, do you want to actually just go, "You know what, I need to ask for help"? And it's really funny. I deal with a lot of US people now, as a lot of you guys know, and my goodness, they are happy just to ask for help. They are happy to get business specialists in. They are happy to have someone do their books for them like that. They are happy to have the life coaches out there. They are happy to have all of those people. And I look at the American economy, which is improving, guys. You know, 4 years ago, we wouldn't say anything about it. But, you know, and one of the reasons why the businesses actually do thrive over there is because they're actually happy to ask for help. So, you know, be careful. Do not wait till it's too late to actually get a business specialist in. Go back to those questions that I asked before. What do I need help with? Is this going to cost me a crap load of money? And what is the return on investment at the end of the day? And that return on investment could be just purely time, which is a very, 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 very good asset to actually have. So definitely have a look at that. Now, the other thing we want to do, and this is one thing I want to be warned of, guys, if you don't know, this is my cute little puppy Saba, about 2008, and he's nice and fluffy. He's a big buffhead now. He's a lot bigger than that, as you can appreciate being a Saint Bernard. But you know what? At the end of the day, also, be careful of the fluffy stuff. And these are just some of the challenges I want you guys to be aware of. I want you to be really, really careful of some fluff out there. You know, and the next lot of questions will help you cut through all of that fluff. But just be careful on what you actually need. You know, make sure you're 100% knowing what you actually want as an outcome as you actually go into it. And any good business specialist, one of the first questions should be, they ask you, should be, what is it that you actually want to get to? What is it what you want to do? You know, that would be a very, very good opening question for any good business specialist at the end of the day. So just be careful of you know, the fluffy stuff. You just don't. You're in business. You don't have time to be fluffed around and all of that. You know, you really just want to get to the point at the end of the day and move forward from there. So just be careful of that. Now, on the flip side, a lot of times it's not the businesses or the marketing abilities or your sales ability or your finance ability is the problem. Sometimes there's a lot of, I call it head trash, and I think that's important to actually clear out first. Now, I'm not calling that fluffy, by the way. That, please don't get me wrong. I'm talking about fluffy as, you know, you talk a lot but don't do a lot. You know, at the end of the day, any good specialist or business specialist out there, everything from business coaches to life coaches to everyone should have the ability to actually get you to do something, and that's very important. Not just talk a lot. So just be warned of that. So you know. You might have the problem holding you back is could be yourself. So go back to that first question. What do I really need? You know, and that's really important to ask yourself. So guys, let's keep moving. What are some of the questions that you should be asking? Or what should you actually be looking for when talking to a business specialist? You know, I'm very adamant on references, that they are a waste of time if you ask for, "Oh, can you give me a couple of references?" Great. Resumes are great. Give me a couple of references. Who are they actually going to put on the reference? Are they going to put the last boss or the last couple of bosses who fired them because of poor performance on the reference? Or are they going to put them onto a boss or give you a reference from someone they haven't dealt with in 5 years and they're going, yeah, they were really good? Um, Here's the problem with those references. No one's ever going to give you references of unhappy clients. Are they? Logically, they wouldn't. My question to a business specialist would be, can you give me a reference of some happy clients and not so happy clients, some past clients, some current clients? If they don't want to actually give you that information, and they might come up with some great excuses like confidentiality, now, which there might be some confidentiality issues, so please, guys, be careful. If you've been working with the army on some business specialist been working on the army on some secret nuclear test that's going to revolutionize the world, they're probably not going to give you that reference. I understand that. But most people should be able to give you references. And I would be asking for happy clients, not so happy clients, ex clients, past clients, current clients. Because at the end of the day, you want to make sure you get a whole idea of what's actually happening there. As I said, if you're a business specialist on here and you help business owners out and you're probably disagreeing with the point that I'm saying, you know what? At the end of the day, guys, what have you got to hide? And that's the key question. What do they have to hide if they're not actually going to give you those clients? This is the thing we've got to actually have a look at. There are reasons, and there is always two sides to every story. So reality is you've got to have a look and make sure that you're actually getting the right story for you and the right person for you. Now, does that mean that you actually, in your own business, go and give them a list of all the 10 clients that sacked you and told you to bugger off and refused to pay their bills because they've got a misconception that you didn't do something right for them? Well, you know what? I wouldn't go down that path, but at the end of the day, I'm happy to give one or two people that just didn't like my services or didn't get the benefit out of it as what they needed to. I'm more than happy to actually give those references. There's no problems there at all. I would be looking at making sure you get a references of at least old clients and new clients, and ask some really interesting questions on the references, like what was the biggest benefit? What was the stuff that you didn't like about the process of this business specialist? Did you get the results that you're actually expecting? Was it the business specialist issue that you didn't get the results, or was it because that the work wasn't implemented correctly from the word go? There's a whole heap of questions that you should be asking like that up there. And again, guys, if you want to dispute that fact, please, 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 let me know. I'm happy to actually discuss it. I am open to all opinions at the end of the day. So, the next question, if you're speaking to a business specialist, who's doing most of the talking? If it's a business consultant or a particular expert, like a marketing expert, a website expert, social media expert, I would have them doing most of the talking. Why? Because you want to actually get a feel of exactly what they're going to do for you. If you need a motivational guru, a coach, or something like that, you should be doing most of the talking because they should be asking most of the questions. So have a look at, depending on the role that you actually want, who is actually doing most of the talking during the meeting. If you've got a coach in there just talking about themselves and going rah 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 rah, I've done this and I've done that, and we'll do this and we'll do that. That's probably not a good business coach at all. That's probably more of a consultant because he's coming in to tell you how to run the business. He's not trying to get you to motivate, to get your own way, to find your own way, and all of that type of stuff. So have a look at who's doing most of the talking. I would suggest that a consultant should be doing most of the talking. They ask you, where do you want to go? What outcome do you want? What type of budget do you have? They ask you the main questions and then sit there and go, right, based on what you've told me, this is the solution. They actually go from there. So have a look at a lot of the questions that should actually be asked versus how much talking is actually being done. So definitely it's a good indication of the type of guru that you're actually going to get, depending on how many questions are asked versus what is actually being told. Now, here's an interesting one, and I want to talk to you about this in depth. Do they have the same values of you? Right? Now, be careful. This is a tricky question, and I should add one more in there. Do they have the same values? And what are their, same ethics, and what's the different values? You need to work with a business specialist that has the same ethics, but not necessarily the same values. Now, let me go back onto that. Ethics is a very, very incredible thing. You are not going to go and employ a business specialist who has the ethics of overseas outsourcing is the bomb. That's what you've got to do in your business. You have to do that. When ethically you don't believe it's right, you want to keep it local. You're happy to employ local people. You don't have the same ethics, so you're always going to go and butt heads. There's going to be no ifs, no buts, no maybes about it. I'm not going to get into the ethics of outsourcing, by the way, guys. You guys know a lot of my clients know my ideas on that, but I'm not here to actually tell you about, whether outsourcing is ethical or not. Go and look at my blog. Actually, you'll probably find that about that. But you're going to butt heads all the time if you do not have the same ethics. But have a look at your values. Sometimes it's better to get a business specialist with different values to you. What's your idea around money? Well, your idea around money would be it's evil and I don't like it. Well, okay, that's great. Then, if you've got money challenges in your business, the values of the business specialist that you should be employing is someone who loves money, who ideals money, who really wants to make a lot of money. Because reality is, you want to make sure that those values are sometimes opposite. And I'm going to say the word sometimes. You've got to understand ethics and values. So reality is, it's no good having someone with the same values of you around money if you think it's evil. That's not going to be a very good business specialist for you, because they're not going to help you out of a financial situation, because they're going to sit there and go, oh, you better not do that because money's evil and we can't get money there. So what you need to have a look at, make sure you have the same ethics, but make sure that sometimes that you do have different values. You might have values around family. That's great. And you want to help family out. Fantastic. Does that mean that the other person or the business specialist needs the same values around family? Well, not necessarily. Ethics and values are two different things. So just have a look at that. If you don't get confused when talking to someone and they say something like, oh, yeah, my family's only a fourth on my list, don't judge them on that, because your values might be different. Have a look at their ethics, though. Have a look on what they believe is the right ethics around family value and how to treat family and all of that type of stuff. So, guys, just raise your hands if that makes actual sense, what I just said then. It's a pretty in-depth conversation. Excellent. Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. So, good. Now, here's the next point, right? What is it that they're there to do, and what do they work on first in your business? One question you should be asking is, great, if I employ you next week, Mr. Business or Mrs. Business Specialist, what is the first thing you're going to work on in my business? Um, you know, and sometimes it's interesting, and we talk about horror stories. I picked up a client probably 2 years ago. I'm not going to mention any names, and they actually got in someone that worked for a particular coaching organization, and this person had major challenges around cash. They needed cash, major challenges around cash. But reality is that program that they signed up on, the first thing they had to actually work on was, themselves and health. And all it was, no, you've signed up to this program. Guess what? We're going to work on your health. That's the first thing we've got to do, because this is what this program actually says. And there's the business owner sitting there going, but I've got cash problems. My health is absolutely, no. We've got to get your head straight around health. Guys, at the end of the day, you've got to have a look at what they're going to work on first and ask that question. I'm looking at the people on the call at the moment with me, and reality is we all know what is the two things a business should be providing for you: cash and money. If you have cash flow challenges, your business guru should be in there to actually fix those challenges. Go and focus on the cash first. That that's so important. It's not funny. You may have team issues. That's great, which could be affecting the cash issues. So don't just be careful where we're actually going here, but make sure they're actually focusing on some of your biggest challenges first straight away. Just be very, very, very careful of that. You know, We talk about a horror story. I won't mention names, even though I'm more than happy to. And if he walked down the same street as me and saw me, I think he'd run the other way. But I actually put a supposedly guru on that was going to actually bring in 100 new leads to me a month. And he signed me up, and I actually was gullible. I actually didn't ask any of these questions that we're looking at here. I was gullible, and I was paying him $1,800 a month to actually build this campaign, build a landing page, get all of this social media work done for me. 3 months of 1,800, I'm sitting there going, come on, when's it going to be finished? No, 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 it's all good. We've mapped it all out. You've given me all you need. Right now, this is what we're going to do. And trust me, the landing page that was built was absolutely atrocious. And then he's turned around and he's gone, right, so we've got all of this done. Cool. For you to actually, in your industry, I've researched it for your industry, we now need to spend $6,000 a month on Facebook ads. How do you want to pay? And I've just looked at him and went, what the friggin' hell? Now, reality is, guys, that happened to me. And I'm just sitting there going, okay, then. No, that's not happening. Well, you're not going to get 100 leads a month. And I said, why didn't you tell me that at the beginning? And this goes back to this point. What are they going to work on first? I should have actually asked that question. Right. How about this? How about you go and actually build the campaign, come back to me with the actual outcome and what you're actually going to work on first. So reality is I was 6 grand down the gurgler already for 3 months of fluff. I'm going to call it fluff. And reality is did not get the outcome in the end that I actually was looking for. So just be careful what the person is going to look on first in the business. So we go from there. Now here's the next one, and I whether you agree, disagree, whether you use contracts in your own business or not, do they use contracts that are locked in? And I've experienced this as well. This is years and years and years ago. And apologies to the person if you actually know who I'm talking about, but I will not use any names, so your identity is safe. But I actually had a business coach on board, working well with them, and they said, right, it's Christmas. I'm going away on 6 weeks leave. You still owe me, the 3 grand coaching fee. And I went, well, I'm not paying it. They've said, well, you've signed a contract to say you will pay it. So what benefit do I get while you're actually overseas enjoying yourself on my money? Where do I actually get the benefit? But this is a yearly program, and in the contract we say that we're working X amount of times and we're going to have holidays, and we expect that from you, and all of that type of stuff. Um, Guys, just be careful of that. Some people are okay doing that, and you know what? That's okay. Read your contracts. And, this just really emphasizes one major point with what we're talking about here with contracts. There was a post on Facebook the other day about a Taekwondo school in the USA. And I don't get caught up in martial arts politics, guys. And I mean, martial arts politics is very careful. Okay. Thank you, Nikki, for that. Nikki's an IT guru. Their company's an IT guru. She's saying be really careful with locked in contracts in IT. And I've got a couple of clients, and one of them's on the line at the moment, that understands not just locked in contracts, but definitely be careful of locked in contracts in any industry, guys. So, just be careful of them. But this Taekwondo school, they signed people up to a 3 year contract in martial arts because they wanted people committed to getting their black belt. And this couple brought their daughters in. The daughters turned around and tried out for a couple of months and said, this isn't really for me. And then the Taekwondo school went and sued them. Literally went and sued them for $10,000, to actually say to get out of this contract, it's going to cost you 10 grand. And I'm watching this going, yeah, no wonder some martial arts have a bad name in the industry. But guess what? They weren't backing down. They were not actually backing down. So I see all of these posts up from all these martial arts owners, school owners. A lot of them were saying, but we need contracts to keep people. And I just put a reply up, and this was my pretty much word for word reply was, guys, I understand you're in business. I understand that you need commitment some way, shape, or form. I have no problems with that. Though, at the end of the day, your services, your teaching ability, the way you actually handle your school and run yourself should be enough, out there not to actually lock people into contracts. If they do not like your teaching, or if they do not like what you're actually doing, and they want to go and pursue something else, let them go. They're not worth teaching in the first place. Why do you need to actually lock people in to and then hold them to ransom because they decide not to like something or not? That's their choice at the end of the day. Oh, yeah, everyone's going like on my post, and it was probably the most liked post on now. But then this other guy come back saying, yeah, but we need it here, and schools that do that give out black belts easily and all of that. I've got two students on my line at the moment on this call. Ask them how easy it is to get a black belt with us. Trust me, it ain't easy. So, just be careful of the locking contracts and what you're actually doing. But again, no, please have contracts to safeguard your own interests. So, I've got clients there that need yearly contracts. They do need yearly contracts. Reality is because it's a payment terms because of the work that they're doing over a 12-month term. So don't be careful what I'm saying. Read the contracts. Be very, very careful about the contracts that you're actually locked into. And at the end of the day, most contracts should have a 30-day termination get out clause any which way. You don't want to keep customers on if they're not actually happening with you. So as well as the contracts where they provide all the gear, absolutely, Nikki's I think she's on the same path as what I am. I agree, Nikki, about contracts. So and believe it or not, I did sit down with a client 3 weeks ago, who said, "Oh no, I'm locked in with another business specialist for the next 3 months, and I really need to make this contract because if not, I got to pay him out, and he'll take me to court. And he already told me he'll take me to court because I told him I wasn't happy, so I'm just going to deal with it." Guys, they're not business specialists you want to work with. That's just crazy at the end of the day. The business specialist is there to help you get where you need to get into business. If they're not providing that, let them know. And I don't know if I've got this question coming up, and I tell this to every single one of my clients at the end of the day. I will know if you're not doing the work or if you're not getting value because we will have that discussion first. And I can tell you now, I'm looking at the people on the call, they understand what I'm actually saying. Because reality is my name as a business specialist out in the industry is not worth having someone sitting there going, well, I spent another 4 months with him hoping it would change, but he didn't say anything and I wasn't getting my work done, but he was happy to take the money. No, I'm not happy to take people's money if they're not getting the benefit. Guys, I guess that's business ethics, or that's my business ethics, whether you agree or not. I'll leave that up to you guys. So, moving on. Ask this, and I want you to be very, very careful about this. What accountability have you got for yourself? Here is a perfect example. Would you guys employ a personal trainer that was 150 kilos and you saw him eating McDonald's every second day? Would you put a personal trainer on? Now, I'm going to say probably not. Probably definitely not. And Kevin, thanks for that feedback. It is about trust and relationships. An unhappy, dissatisfied client does not serve either party. I totally agree. So you probably wouldn't actually put a personal trainer on that's 150 kilos. The question you've got to ask, and I would actually ask this to any business specialists out there. What accountability do you do for yourself? What do you do for yourself in business? Are you congruent? There's simple rules out there. And, if you're not willing to give someone a job that you're not willing to do yourself, then guess what? Don't give it to them. And, be careful though. Willing and able to are two different things as well. You employ a team who have certain skills for skills that you may not have. Does that mean you're not willing to do that job? Absolutely not. You're probably willing to do that job if you had to go and do the job. You may not have the skills to do that job. The question is are you willing to do it yourself? I look at martial arts in this one. I'm willing to do jump, spinning, fly kicks off the wall. I have no problems doing that. Am I able to do them? Do I give it a try? Hell yeah. Does it normally end up with a mess, me on the ground, flat on my face? Hell yeah. But at least I'm willing to give it a go. Ask your business specialist that point. It's no good sitting there and getting let's say a marketing specialist. Again, I'm not pointing any fingers. A marketing specialist in and sit there and go, you need to do yellow pages if maybe they're not doing yellow pages for themselves. So just have a look at that. Now, be careful on what I just said as well. I'm just thinking of the implications of what I just said. There are businesses out there that actually direct mail and mail letterbox drops are the best for them. They work extremely well. For a marketing specialist, letterbox wouldn't do well. So you can't sit there and go, well, you're not doing letterbox drops. Why would I? But would they be willing to do letterbox drops in their own if they were in that particular business? That's what you've got to gauge. So what accountability? Do they educate themselves? What teachings are they actually doing? Do they promote health and they're not out there jogging and all of that type of stuff? Do they promote good cash flow if they don't have good cash flow themselves? So have a look at exactly where they're looking at there. And you know what, guys? I always find a business specialist that has an open book, not cagey and not tells them everything that's going on. I find those type of business specialists have got a lot to hide, and they're probably not doing stuff themselves. So have a look at it. Most clients know that I'm an open book, by the way. They can ask me anything. I'll let them know everything that's happening out there. There's nothing to hide. So make sure there's nothing to hide. Now, the other thing is, what is your policy on if it's not work? And this is exactly what I said before. I would expect a business specialist to come up to you and go, first, hey, this isn't working. This campaign that we've put in place is not working. Right, what do we need to change it? Not, well, you paid for this campaign. That's all the campaign that you've actually got. So we're not going to worry about it. Let's walk away. You've paid me the money. I did the campaign. It worked. Tough. Bugger it. See you later. Have a nice day. No, they should be coming to you. Who sacks who first? And at the end of the day, I believe a good business specialist is happy to have those hard discussions with you, no matter how hard they are. And it may be to the point where it's, look, maybe we don't need to work together anymore because you're not doing the stuff that you need to do. So have a look who is happy to sack each other first, and that's very important. If you normally have to sack them first, then there's normally probably a challenge with that. So be careful of that. Okay, always realize, this is Nikki. Always realize that sometimes, no matter what specialist you have, stuff happens. I in IT, can have the best systems in the world, but no system is completely 100% an idiot proof. High five to you, Nikki. I totally and utterly agree. No one is perfect. No systems are perfect. Reality is, you got to realize that accidents can happen. Sometimes things can happen. So I agree with that, guys. But I think most of us understand that purely it was a what's the word for it? If you give it your best, you're going to get an outcome. It may not have been the outcome that you want, but it could have been a good idea at the end of the day. So reality is, and you know what? I can tell you now, experience helps with a lot of that type of stuff. And I bet, Nikki, you probably guys wouldn't implement, hard drives that have been failing on you. You probably won't use those hard drives again type of situation. So, you've got to build up that experience, and, that's very important. So, got a couple more questions. I won't spend too much longer. Do they have an abundant or scarcity mentality? Are they afraid to actually get other business specialists in to actually help them out? Are they happy to sit there and tell you, oh, I don't know that? Do they try and keep everything themselves? Do they get really frustrated if they found out you went and spoke to another business specialist? You know what? At the end of the day, abundant mentality really, really, really is a good mentality to have, not scarcity. If you're got a scarcity mentality in business, and reality is you're probably only going to get drips and drabs. Abundant mentality, have they got one? Ask them that. Actions always speak louder than words when it comes to that point. Now, also find out how they keep you up to date with current happenings, and how do they keep themselves up to date with what's actually happening out there as well. So, see how they actually communicate back to you. Communication is the key to having a good relationship with your business specialist. Are they available all the time? Or do they tell you, no, you can only ring me between these certain times? These are the things we need to. There's always rules and regulations. I tell my clients, look, guys, worst case scenario, maybe 2 to 3 hours if you ring me, but I'll always get back to you, within 2 to 3 hours. If it's in the evening, ring, I have no problems. But if I'm in the middle of doing something, like having dinner or something like that, just be warned I might not pick up the phone. So have a look at how they communicate and how you can get access to them. I think that's a very important key. I've worked with some business specialists that have actually told me, well, look, you didn't sign up to the phone plan as well. I will see you next week and we can discuss it next week. Well, that's great. That's their rules, that's their regulations, that's their policies. I have no problems with that. Does that policy work for you or not? So just be wary of that. And simple versus complexity, I don't need to go through that. Education should be made simple. Do they educate correctly? Do they implement? Do they educate in a simple way? Versus, do they actually confuse the living hell out of you? And I know, yes, a couple of my clients are sitting there on the call going, but that's you sometimes make this complex. And what do I normally say? You know what? Just leave it with me. I'll go get it sorted for you. So reality is simple versus complexity. Make sure they can actually do it. My perfect example is my accountant. I could sit there and he'll go, right, blah, 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 blah. And I'll look at him and go, awesome. I understood two words in that. Now word it in English for me. Right? And reality is he'll reword it and I go, that's what you meant. Good. I made a profit this year. Awesome. Thank you very much for telling me that. Why the hell did you just have to go and explain it the way you did? Accountants, any which way. The last thing I want you to actually ask the business specialist is how they report back and what's needing to be done. Do they have stuff like focus sheets, accountability sheets? Do they send you a weekly report? If you put an SEO expert on, you would expect a report every month to say, this is what's being done, this is how it's being done, this is where you're at, this is where you're currently growing. What are they reporting back to you on? I know my clients use accountability sheets. And then when we meet them, we actually see where we're actually at. Sales targets, profit targets. A lot of them I've got access to their Xero account, so I can actually see before I come in how they're actually working. So have a look at how they're reporting back to you. Find out before you put them on how they're actually going to report back to you to make sure you're actually doing the stuff. And here's the other thing, guys, and there's only two more slides here. Be blunt. At the end of the day, this is your business. This is your survival, if inverted commas, and maybe not your survival, but this is your passion. This is that. Be blunt with someone. Do not let them walk all over you, even though they might be a bigger personality than you. You have to be blunt with any specialist that you put on, and you should be asking for what you actually expect in return. Make your expectations, and I'm going to be clear on this, make sure your expectations at the end of the day, if they need to help you get to climb a mountain, make sure that expectation is delivered by both of you guys at the end of the day. And you get that by asking all those questions that I actually spoke about before. Make sure your expectations are clear from day one. What is it that you actually need to achieve? Because that helps everyone there. So that's very important. So, guys, I'm going to open it up to any questions. Should you have here's a great question. Should you have a flexible refund policy? Here's guarantees, guys. Should your business specialist give you a guarantee or not? You know what? At the end of the day, they can guarantee they can put a whole heap of work in. They can guarantee they'll give you their money back if you actually don't get where you need to get to. But like anything, I'm going to be careful about you expecting a guarantee off a business specialist. What would happen if all of a sudden a marketing specialist, you go and spent $5,000 with them, you put this excellent marketing campaign in place, and just as you launch it, 2 days later, Google went and actually changed the whole thing they can do, and all of that marketing campaign is completely and utterly gone. Now, should that person have guaranteed that, even though that marketing campaign would have been working perfectly? I'm going to say yes, no, and indifferent. If I was in their shoes, this is just me, I would sit there and go, holy mackerel, that's not good. Google did this without telling. You know what? I'm going to spend a couple of months just to rework this and try and get it done. It's time intensive of me, and I will lose a bit of money on this job, but it makes the client happy, so hopefully they come back. That's me. Should you be flexible in the refund policy? I think if you've got good expectations at the beginning and those expectations weren't met by the business specialist, then yes, I think there should be a good refund policy in place. But if you've done everything you've had to and that person who was coming in and hoping for the help didn't actually do what they were supposed to do, then reality is probably not. You've got to prove whether they actually did it or not. So that's a really good question around guarantees. Do I give a guarantee at Black Belt Business? You know what? At the end of the day, I guarantee that I'll actually push and drive you. I'll guarantee that, I'll keep you on task. I'll guarantee we'll put the right strategies in place. Would I refund a client money after being with them for 6 months and reality is working out? Probably not, because I know in that 6 months they've probably got way more than what they've actually been, what they've paid for in some way, shape and forms. Why is that? Because business instructing is not just coaching. I will do the coaching side, but it's also about implementation, and I will I will update the client's website for them because I know it'll work better on Google. And I know we'll get better results by having a better website in there, a responsive website, and all of that. So I understand all of those points. So they'll probably end up getting that money anyway. Have I ever had anyone ask me for a refund in the 5 years? No, I've never actually had. And this is not me gloating, guys. I just want you to be clear. I've had someone who's actually paid for my services and I haven't actually got to them for the month, and they've gone, oh, look, I need to cancel this. I need that money back. I need to go work on other stuff. I've had that happen. I have no problems actually refunding that money because you haven't done any work for them. So, have a look at the guarantees you put in place. Look, at the end of the day, I think guarantees are great, but just be careful on what you're actually going to guarantee. I got a decking company that guarantees 25 years on the basis that they come back every year and re-oil their deck and check every sink and all of that. They'll get happy to give a 25-year guarantee. Why wouldn't you? So, but you're going back for ongoing work and you're checking and you're making sure it's all okay and you can actually hit the issues at the beginning. So hopefully that clears out the refund and guarantee policy. So guys, what I want to hear from you guys just quickly, just type in the number one thing you got from today's session. And was it beneficial? This was an interesting topic. I had nowhere near the sign up on this topic as what I would have on any of my other webinars. So it's just interesting on did you actually get value out of the session? If so, what was the number one thing? I'm just curious about that. This session isn't all about sell. Okay, so thanks, Tamvi. How to handle with people who are good at work but just keep things with themselves until you once they achieved or failed. We can't afford to lose them, but hard to keep up with them. Yep, so true. What else? Number one things you got from today, guys? Refresher on expectations. Guys, no matter what business you're in, give everyone expectations from word go. If you're selling a product, expectations are very, very important. And then here's the biggest thing, track those expectations. Whether you are, and Donna mentioned this, whether you're a bookkeeper, and I'm looking at the list, whether you're an IT guru, whether you're, a quit smoking expert, whether you're a commercial cleaner, whether you're in the an esthetician, you're in travel, guys, at the end of the day, you can track all of your clients' expectations at the end of the day. You do that by giving quality work and getting them to sign off on the quality work that you're actually doing. Look at Kevin on the line. He's a commercial cleaner. Hope you don't mind me using this as an example, but going and popping in and seeing a client every 2 to 3 weeks, which is one of the strategies we put in place, and having the client sit down and go, right, is everything being met? Is all your expectations being met? By the way, I've got this great checklist here to say, yes, you met it. Yep, can you just sign here? That's great. This just actually gives us a record that we're all both happy. Guys, it's a great way to actually do it. So expectations are really, really good. Check with 2 or 3 before you choose. Guys, I will actually tell clients to actually go and check. You've sat down with me. Am I the only business specialist that you've spoken to? Right, go and meet with a couple of others. I have no problems with doing that. If someone comes and signs up to my martial arts, if they want to go check out some other martial arts, I am more than happy with that. You know what? You've got to be confident in the services that you provide, and not worry about any of the competition. So, if they're going to be thinking about someone else any which way, then, let them go and research. I'm good with all of that. Very, very well. I think it's very important to keep your clients up to date. Guys, my dog's going to go off in the background. There's someone at the door, but, everyone can hear that. So, a couple of others about keeping clients up to date. Rebecca, I love that. No matter what industry, just keep them up to date. Communication is key. Understand how to present work with clients. Gary, I love that one too. And Nikki, you got that someone was else's opinion and in the service industry should look at as clients. Also turning around and delivering as a supplier. Yeah, guys, I think it's good. And then Kevin said, know what you want to get out of it and work out whether they're the right person to get you there. If you want to get to Perth tomorrow, will you use a push bike or a plane to get there? Below and above the line. Most of you guys on the line will know about that. Must come from both parties. I agree agree, Kevin. That's why I'm actually having this, which may piss a few of the business specialists off there out there. But you know what? At the end of the day, I'm here for you guys. To give you guys that support. Communication, commitment, and trust. These are the only guarantees that work in a win-win. So, guys, really good. Well, I did hit the hour, which was quite surprising. I actually thought this would only go for half an hour when I was reading all my notes last night preparing for it. So I did hit the hour. Guys, thanks for your time. I will get the recording out. You go and have a stupendous day, guys. You notice there's no sell after this. I'm not here to sell you anything regarding black belt business or anything. I'm not here for that on this webinar. I want you guys to go and make the right decisions for you guys. And that's really, really important out there. So, guys, thank you for your time and your listening in. And you go and have an awesome weekend, everyone. We'll get the recording out of this soon. And I will get Ashley in my office here to list all those questions out. So you've actually prepared for the next business specialist or the next guru that you want to actually put on board. All right. Have a great day, all. And we will talk to you soon. Bye.